morning, you guys. Good morning, and welcome to our Friday segment of the Good News Sunday Show. And we have titled this segment Firm Foundation Fridays. And because we've been praying, and because we've been praying a lot this week, we are yielding to the Holy Spirit when we find this age-old resource at our library this very week. That's right, I went to the library to get on the internet and I found this resource from Holman from Holman. It was published in 1966, and you guys know how I love vintage things. Anyway, so I believe this gives us an opportunity for a fresh start. With this resource and the prayers that have been given, I believe it is an opportunity for a fresh start. So, the principal divisions of the Old Testament, and they are as follows: the Law, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Those 5 Bibles are the Law of the Old Testament, or what some would term the Pentateuch. And the history portion of the Bible is the books of Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, and the book of Esther. Then we move on to the book of poetry. The books of poetry rather. Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastics, Songs of Solomon, Lamentations. Thus meaning that not everything therein can be taken literal, okay? Then we move on to the major prophets, which are Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. And then we have, last but definitely not least, our platoon of minor prophets: Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. The principal divisions of the Old Testament. Now let us look at the New Testament. The major divisions of the New Testament. Let me see if I can find that. I think, there we go. Okay. The major divisions of the New Testament. The Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The book of Acts stands alone. That's very interesting that the book of Acts stands alone, because therein is where much activity occurs, and it needs to stand alone. Paul's letters: Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd Timothy, Titus, Philemon, and the general epistles: Hebrews, James, 1st and 2nd Peter, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, and the book of Jude. And finally, another book of the Bible that stands alone is the book of Revelation. And of course, because we're in this time, we need to note that the book of Acts that stands alone is where Pentecost occurs, okay? Pentecost and the book of Acts, when the church was formed and Peter preached his first sermon. The book of Acts, yes, one of my favorite books of the Bible. And Pentecost, of course, will end May 20th in this month. And so there you have it, the major divisions of the New Testament and the Old Testament. So that's our firm foundation points for this Friday, May 4th, 2018. We'll be back next week with another edition of Firm Foundation on Fridays, and we'll be looking at the remainder of this beautiful resource that the Lord has provided to me this very week to share with you. And I am so honored and grateful for such a resource. Haley's Baptist Church is where this came from. And like I said, I found it in our local library on the giveaway stand. This wonderful, wonderful resource. I have some charts that I picked up at Lifeway that break down the books of the Bible as well, but they are not, they don't speak as plainly as this one does. So I'm so very excited to share that with you, the remainder of it with you next Friday on our next edition of Firm Foundation Fridays. But for now, this is Sonia signing out for the Good News Sunday Show. And the good news is we still have time. We still have time to dig in to the Word of the Lord and lean in to His teachings. This is Sonia signing out for the Good News Sunday Show. Thank you.